So, fair listeners, brave listeners, dedicated listeners, as the last episode was called, Nigel, after Patrick's discovery, are you there, Pat?
Hello.
Hi. This episode also has a person's name based around a very, very famous phrase. This episode is called Barry. Run the theme tune.
Click.
Welcome back to Twinhumanitiespodcast, and thank you to Justice League Unlimited for, again, letting us borrow this.
Don't say it, because
sorry.
No, shush.
Thank you to the orchestra of Australia and Czechoslovakia and Portugal for playing that very, very close rendition of the Justice League theme tune with just a few bits that are different from the original.
Yeah, slight difference in the cadence of the trumpet.
Is it going to be like sort of Vanilla Ice with the dun 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 dun? There's an extra dun dun dun. I know. Right, so how are you? I was going to dive straight in there.
Was that the listeners or me?
Yeah, how are you? We're all fine.
Okay, now let's do this. Okay, so I'm pretty well, but listeners, I'm going to ask how you are, and just shout out how you are wherever you are. Just do it. Listeners, how are you?
We're all in this paper bag. I realised that paper bags don't give much echo.
No.
It was kind of cardboardy. Oh my god, there's some coffee.
It's not as good as the cardboard box that we used before.
Yeah, that's over on the other side of the room. Let me think.
Yeah.
I could try a rucksack.
The other side of the room also being where you are right now.
Say the question again.
Okay. Listeners, how are you?
We're all in this bag.
Is it a big bag, or we only have like one listener?
I don't know. Sorry, I can't split my voice into multiple parts, like the shards of Manus.
Get your head out of the box, lad.
I tied it back into Souls.
Segue.
I tied it back in.
That's good.
Thanks. So last time, I'm fine by the way. Last time we were doing lots of Bloodborne and Dark Souls stuff. We're all over the place. I'm going to drink some more coffee.
Drink it.
Okay.
Okay. No, we can't skip this then, can we? So, coffee news. Switch. What are you drinking?
I'm on a delicious espresso roast. I've mentioned it before because it has a wonderful marshmallowy pillowness to it, and I haven't had it for a while.
That was the name of the Humanities, if I don't remember that right.
It probably was, yeah.
Yes, because I just did all the title cards on.
Oh my god, there was this thing on Twitter this morning, right? Let me see if I can find it, because this does tie into coffee news, and it was something like, "Oh, come on, you Twitter bastard. Your bloody internet's going slow." Here we go. 1 minute.
That's good keyboard sounds. Good Foley.
I know, distract the listeners.
I don't know how. Okay, listeners. Well, a quick bit of channel update news while CJ is rapidly doing research. If you'll notice on our YouTube channel, now every episode has a custom thumbnail on it, including the episode number and its title. So when you're scrolling through and want to listen to a certain episode, they're not all just pictures of our faces. Now you can see which one's which, because I love you all.
That works out really well, Patrick. What a great idea. What prompted you to have that idea in your head? I found the thing. Right.
Just segue over.
Right, there was This is how much of a coffee nerd I am. There was a tweet from Amazon UK this morning, which was a sort of a picture of far too milky coffee in a cup, which says, according to the myth, actually I'll put on a voice for this, according to the myth, caffeine's effects were first discovered by Ethiopian shepherds whose goats started dancing after eating coffee berries. And I read that and I was like, no, it was discovered by one Ethiopian shepherd, a goat herder called Kaldi. And that's absolutely true. Yeah, so yeah. Have I not mentioned this before? I would have remembered that. Kaldi and his dancing goats.
That's a good band name.
Yeah, it is. It is. They'd be on the bill about third from the top, near Spinal Tap and I don't know. But yeah, there's.
Do you know what I'm drinking today?
No.
I'm drinking tea.
Oh, is it bargain basement supermarket tea?
I am the most interesting thing about my tea. No, it's Yorkshire tea, and the box at the moment says Yorkshire Tree on it because they're trying to save trees. So I'm drinking Yorkshire Tree, and the mug I have it in, it says on the side, it says Mr. T, but instead of T, the letter, it says T like the drink, TEA, and it's in a really sort of hard font, and it's got bullet holes on the side.
Comedy
and the handle of the mug has gold rings on it, so you can put your hand in it and look like you have gold rings on.
Comedy to match the drink.
Honestly, it is actually my favourite mug. I'm not even ashamed.
Bastille the 1970s.
But the problem is you can't hold it properly because you put your hands in to kind of do the ring thing. It's like, that's really funny. But the tea inside the cup is hot, and then you burn your hand. And there's nothing very A-team about burning your own hand on a cup of tea.
Not really.
No.
Although there was the bit with what's it? I'm rubbish at names tonight. What's it called? There's one of my favourite films where there's Mr. T turns up. Mr. T plays the bearded lady, and he turns up in a truck, and the guy that runs the circus goes like, "Hey, you'd be better without a dick." Like Mr. T goes like, "Arr!" And he was like, "But you can keep the beard." He just gives him a massive hug.
Okay, is this a real film or is this a dream you had?
It is a real film, right? This is not making good Souls territory. Everybody knows that we're chaos by this point. So it's a film produced, written and directed by Alex Winter from Bill and Ted.
Right. You can remember who directed it, but not the name.
Yeah, and it's going to drive me mind.
There's weird holes in your brain.
There is. Right, let me see. Yeah, and it was made for about $10 million, and it was fucking about Freaked. That's it.
Freaked.
It's about this this down on his luck actor who gets employed by the ES company, everything except shoes, to promote this fertilizer called Zygrot 24, which is banned in every country in the world apart from Mexico. So he goes down to Mexico to promote it and stops off at this freak show, and he doesn't realise that the freak's actually being created by Zygrot 24, and it's got like what is it? Keanu Reeves as Ortiz the dog boy. The head of EES is William Sadler, who's Death in Bill and Ted. Mr. T plays the bearded lady. There's a guy that's a giant worm, and he has this monologue which goes like, "I came to Mexico looking for the perfect specimen of worm. These days I'd sell my own soul to wipe my own arse." And it's fucking bonkers. And yeah, I love it. I don't even know how we got here.
I think I need a headache tablet.
All right then. Let's go back, because I was saying about Kaldi and these dancing goats.
Right, yes, back on track.
Right, this Ethiopian, I know, not to souls, but coffee. Right, this Ethiopian shepherd. I heard goat herder, but according to Amazon, it's shepherd, so I'm going to go with goat herder. Saw his goats eating from a certain bush and noticed that they became lively after eating it. So he started. I think he turned it into a broth, but it was a local bunch of monks who then took that on and found that they got more energy in their day.
The goat or the coffee?
Yeah, having a little bit of goat with the broth. But at this point they weren't making coffee as we know it. They were just boiling the coffee cherries and sort of getting energy from it. But monks come back around with coffee because in Italy in the late 1940s they started sort of fluffing the milk, shall we say, in a certain way, and it reminded them of a local group of monks with sort of like the whiteness of their faces and kind of the brown hood sort of around, and the local monks were called the Capuchins, and that's where cappuccino came from.
Wow.
Welcome to Dark Souls.
What's our show even about anymore?
I don't know.
I don't even know.
If you've listened to the episodes that we did with the Bonfireside Chat, lads, you're right at home now.
Yeah.
We enjoyed that degree of distraction and bonkersness, but also a few deeper bits as well. So we don't know how this is going to go. Thanks for listening, but come back.
Welcome to 30 minutes of spunk talk.
I don't know.
No, not this time. We've gone out of our system, I think.
No. Right, so the last episode, I'm going to steam straight into my solo run on Scholar of the First Sin first.
Okay.
So the last episode, I think I was battling through the Crown of the Ivory King, and I think I'd sort of nudged into Crown of the Iron Key, and really didn't know how to get to Crown of the Sunken King. All of the DLCs were accessed with a single item once you bought the season pass on 360 and PS3, but the keys are all across the game.
You said that last time. They're all over the place, aren't they?
Yeah. So I'd found the key for Crown of the Iron King in the Flambé Salamander pit in Forest of the Fallen Giants.
Oh, in the hot place. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, okay.
I can't remember where Crown of the Ivory King key was, and after looking all over the place for Crown of the Sunken King's key, not easy to say that. I was tipped off that it's right at the bottom of the pit in Medulla.
Oh, so I know how to get the frozen key. It's like Metal Gear. You have to go somewhere cold, and then you have to freeze the key you already have, and then it works in the cold door.
If that's Metal Gear,
you've not played Metal Gear. That reference is lost. People that have played Metal Gear will be like, "That's a good joke."
That's one of the things where it's like, what? Like, I've never ever ordered takeout food.
Really?
I've never had a ring on my phone or a buzz on the door or whatever happens where somebody comes with kind of a red envelope and hands over a pizza or curry or anything. I've never done it.
Wow.
I've just never done it.
Surprising to me.
Well, I grew up in a family that wasn't very well off. So I think a lot of the time the option was kind of supermarket versions or... Christ, I even remember when McDonald's used to do... when McDonald's first came over to Blighty, and for the longest time they used to do the burgers in the little polystyrene sort of pods.
Yeah.
You know, the sort of folding
the
pods.
Space pod things, yeah.
And like, I remember my mum saying, like, save, like putting them in a bag afterwards and going like, save these and we'll pretend we're at McDonald's when we're at home. Which is like, as much as kind of, you know, my family and I aren't close. That's kind of one of the things that really makes me smile, because it's quite naive and quite sweet. And you know, even when we were at home and we got, you know, bought a pack of cobs and we got some burgers and stuff and we put some ketchup and we made some chips in the chip pan, just sort of having those, it just made it a little bit special when we settled down to kind of watch film or something. I just think it's kind of really sweet. Yeah.
That's mad.
Well,
I've never had a Big Mac, so there you go.
You've never had a Big Mac?
Never. I always preferred the cheeseburger. I was like, I don't want a Big Mac. It's got salad in it. Yeah, as a boy, I don't want to eat salad. You always had if you always had a cheeseburger, that's not really the same sort of revelation, is it? I never really had McDonald's though. I had
because it's like a little bit, but I've never had a bun with 2 burgers in it and which is like,
But Big Mac is like it's the classic thing, you know. It's the one you get.
No, but I was saying that I've never had a thing in my life, and you were like, I've never had a Big Mac. Which
I can't think of any big holes in my culinary experience.
I thought like was the umbrella of you never going to McDonald's, but essentially was I've not had a burger with two burgers in it. I've had one burger and it's had some cheese on it.
I've had something similar from Burger King, but I've never had the actual named Big Mac, no.
Right.
I can't think of any holes in my culinary gaps. I've even done a Subway once, which was a baffling experience.
Yeah.
What kind of bread do you want? I don't know.
Sure, people are leaving.
Remember Dark Souls?
Yeah. Right, so right at the bottom of the pit in Medulla, right at the bottom of the furthest ladder that you can buy from, is it Gilligan?
Gilligan.
Yeah, there's another ladder that leads up that's got a couple of chests, and one of those has got the key for Crown of the Sunken King. So I can kind of tickle into that now. But both Crown of the Iron King and Crown of the Ivory King are exceptional. I can't stress this enough. There are certain folks, like I say, like Josh Garrity from Kane and Rents and James Carter and Sam Ahmed, were all sort of saying how good the DLC was at the time, but we didn't really get that much chance to get near it with you sorting out your wedding and all that kind of stuff.
God no, yeah.
So, but
I have a question for you. Do you know if the DLC on the Scholar edition is any different than it is on the regular? Like, I know the main game has changed. Do you know if the DLC's changed too?
I think. Well, I don't know directly because I've not got
experience
you didn't do it,
did you?
Previous
no,
one.
We didn't touch it, did we?
But they do have the extra summons in there, so new summons are there.
Cool.
Plus, something that I discovered just through the fact that I am currently avoiding finishing the game and just trying to do tons and tons of stuff, there's an item that you receive in one of the DLCs that if you take it back to another level in the game, it changes the level. What? How cool is that? Yeah, big time. And I only sort of went back because I there was something that I wanted to have a look into, and I was like, no. And it's actually one of the levels where initially I was looking at the changes that were there, and I was going, I'm not so sure about this. And I kind of came around to them because I was like, yeah, story based wise, and yeah, I kind of like these, but there's an item in the DLC that changes these levels now. Not only changes that level, but actually changes a level that's a little bit near it as well.
Cool.
That's pretty fucking impressive. But yeah, the Crown of the Iron King and Crown of the Ivory King absolutely amongst the best levels in any Souls game.
Nice.
Twist and the turn. They've got reasons for you to head back on yourselves. There's optional variations to move on to. Sometimes you just going like, have I been there? Have I not been there? You've got that degree of verticality that people said wasn't really in Dark Souls 2. And there are some amazing boss battles. Yeah. I mean, I've been hanging out at the Burnt Ivory King. Sorry, the Burnt Iron King boss battle. One, because it's an amazing place to farm souls. Literally, I think, because I was there and I got the Mimic's Helm on to increase my souls, I was getting, must be about 90,000 souls per fight. I'm currently about 5.5 million soul range.
That's all right.
Nah, you see, I'm pretty hefty on this. So on this particular boss battle, when you go through the Crown of the Ivory King, there are certain rooms that you go into, and there'll be what you initially think is an enemy just sort of sitting in a chair. Looks a little bit different. Sitting in a chair, who will stand up and disappear. And there are 4 of these dotted around the level, if you can find them. You eventually get to this cathedral, and when you walk to the back of the cathedral, you see this massive fog gate, and then up on a level are however many of these Loist Knights that you've found sitting in the chairs. and you obviously now you can summon up to 4 people to join you.
Yeah.
Sorry, 3 people. Is it 3? Yeah, 3. It was 2 last time, wasn't it? It's three extra
bros.
people.
4 total.
Yeah. So you can summon 3 extra people or summons to join you.
Yeah.
But the Loist Knights then stand up as well, depending on how many of them you found, of course. You walk through this fog gate and you drop directly into this massive hole. All of the Loist Knights jump in with you, and you, as you go past a certain point, it's just this platform and fucking lava and fire all around you. And there are these 3 portals, and out of them are coming these charred iron knights who, like, some of them will be pyromancers, some will have swords, some will have axes, and you all twat into them merrily, and they drop something called Loist souls.
Right, because I was going to ask this question because I've seen people talking about this for ages.
Right, I'll go.
What is a Loist soul?
I'll go into that in a minute.
Christ, yeah.
But you fight them, and obviously you've got these Loist Knights that are with you, which are kind of like the Loist Knights are white, and the ones that are coming out these portals are sort of burned in the same way as kind of the
Silver and Black Knights from Dark Souls 1.
The Bunny Knights, yeah. And they keep coming out this portal, but at a certain point, one of the Loist Knights, his sword will glow like this frosty glow, and he'll walk up to one of these fiery portals, stab the sword into the portal, and seal it up with ice, which stops any of the enemies coming out, right? So there are 3 of these portals, and then at certain points within the fight with these sort of charred iron knights, they'll start sealing up, and then something will happen at the back of the arena, and the burnt iron king will walk out. And obviously, if you've only found one of the Loist Knights, you've still got portals which are going to be kicking out these bastards. So you've got a lot to deal with if you've not found at least 3 of them, I'd say.
Yeah.
And the burnt iron king boss battle is just incredible. A lot of folks have said it reminds them of Gwyn, but it reminds me of the battle with Artorias. Ooh. It's fucking stunning. He will, if there are a group of people that are fighting him in the corner and somebody else is over the other side of the battle, he will fling himself at the other person over the other side of the battle and use that momentum to stab them or slash them or whatever. And he's got some pretty cool kind of Artorias-like moves. At a certain point, he will ignite this massive lightsaber, which just goes on for about 2 or 3 meters beyond him, and then sort of start doing the same moves and slashing into people. He'll smash that into the ground and like throw up loads of ice. It's incredible, and all the time he's got this. When he flings himself into one of these massive attacks, he goes like, it's got this amazing death metal like die, which he throws out, which is so fucking cool. So the fight is incredible, and there are lots of people to summon there, and even after I'd done that fight, there's a reason to go back. That in the cathedral there are some stairs leading upwards which are all covered in ice, and then there's somebody in the distance who's begging you to I think it's something like to free the burnt ivory king from chaos, and to I forget the specifics, but you when you then collect these Loist souls, which are sort of random drops on the floor, when you bring them to her, she will give you a piece of the proper Loist Knight armor.
Okay.
For I think 10, 20, 35 and 50. And sometimes they don't drop at all. Sometimes you get 1 or 2. Sometimes you get 3. It all depends, really.
Okay.
But you're getting like shitloads of souls anyway. And when each of those, the 10, 20, 35, 50 milestones gets reached, she shatters a little piece of the ice, and you can go up to the top of the stairs and you can talk to her. And it turns out that, like Nashandra, she's a fragment of Manus.
Cool.
So, and the fragments of Manus play out in a lot of the DLC, and they're really, really cool. But
Cool.
And once you've met her, you can then go back to Morlin and Majula, and you can buy the Burnt Iron King's entire outfit, which is kind of cool. But
Nice.
yeah, it's awesome. It's such a good boss battle, and I swear to God that even when I was sort of down there farming these Loist Knight souls, I was still having a whale of a time with it. And because there are so many people involved, you're essentially going back into battle with potentially as part of a group of 8, which has never happened in a Souls game before. And it's just got an amazing feeling to it. The level itself with Crown of the Ivory King is just breathtaking. And I got to an optional bit. When was it? A few days back, which is just like this incredibly snowy plain. But when you get you can see things in the distance, and to kind of walk towards. But there'll be points where the snow curls up so you can't see, your hand in front of your face, and there are these kind of iced electric ponies that attack,
Right.
and they're terrifying. You don't see them until they're on you. And even with 3 summons, I was still heart in mouth. Honestly. Oh, and you get to that area by climbing into a coffin and sliding down a ravine like a toboggan.
Oh, see, that sounds super fun.
Oh, it's honestly, the DLC is so desperately impressive. And even though I've done tons of it, I'd still say there are reasons for me to. I still get the feeling there's something somewhere that I've not been in the Crown of the Iron King. I still get there's still Electric Ponyland and a few other bits in Crown of the Ivory King that I've not done, and I've barely gone into Crown of the Sunken King because I was terrified of it earlier. Fucking hell.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm kind of. It's a credit to the game that I'm actively avoiding finishing it at the minute. Plus, I'm about 4 Sunlight medals off maxing the Sunlight Covenant. So
Wow.
I got the Sunlight
for a
sword.
while then.
Yeah. Well, because I'm a Sunbro anyway, I'm getting Sunlight medals for every. Excuse me. I'm getting Sunlight medals for every success within that Burnt Iron King boss battle. So it's it's hand in hand. They've been coming along, but so yeah, I cashed those in tonight. I got the Sunlight Sword, and I think I've got about 4 more, and then I get the Sunlight Spear.
Nice.
And we'll get the achievement for maxing out a Covenant as well. So
Ding.
yeah, proper fucking loving it.
Sunlight ding.
Yeah, and there are a few people that are kind of now, I don't know, finishing up with Bloodborne and have seen that it's like 30 quid and just going like, yeah, I'll give that a go. And we'll come to that again a touch later. But
Yeah.
so we
Okay.
did the first of our cult runs, didn't we, on Bloodborne?
Yeah. Should we do Bloodborne first, or should we do the Dark Souls still?
No, I think we should do Bloodborne first.
Just Bloodborne. Okay, let's go. Let's flop back and forward.
Because
So
there are going to be people that listen to this podcast that have not played Scholar, and I
That's
think it's
true.
If we chunk these about a bit. So
sandwich it.
Yeah, the other week we had Sunday, Bloody Sunday. I don't even know if that's what the song sounds like.
I can't even remember if it was Sunday.
Sunday, Bloody Sunday.
We did. We
was a Sunday.
officially. Was it Sunday? I can't even remember. Doesn't matter. We started playing Bloodborne co-op, haven't we?
I think it was. Why are we playing Bloodborne co-op?
Why are we playing co-op? Because it's fun. I'm not sure what you want. Did you feed me for something there?
Right. If you're a new listener to Twin Humanities, the way that we started it was, if you're a new listener or perhaps one of the hosts, Which
one am I?
Sometimes I worry. You're supposed to be the adult of the two of us. You're the one that's married with a house. It's me that lives in a fucking hovel in the middle of nowhere with depression as my best friend.
My brain's full of like roll plugs and broken bits of floor. I can't think about the petty squabbles of the landed gentry anymore.
And where intelligence and human compassion is supposed to be, I stay at home and barely leave out, but I know fucking Dark Souls. Right, so if you're a new listener or perhaps a ginger host, the way we started Twin Humanities was with Paddy, new to Dark Souls, and me being a wouldn't shut up super nerdo enthusiast. We started playing co-op on it. We had lots of chats, and the podcast and friendship blossomed. So I'd swerved away from Bloodborne and gone to Scholar of the First Sin, initially just to look at it for the podcast, but I found it wouldn't let me go. And you'd hammered on with Bloodborne and finished it.
Yeah, I couldn't. So, by the way, I totally get what we were aiming at now, and I feel stupid for not getting that.
Welcome.
I've been at work sharp.
Coffee 1, tea 0. So I got on my own. I got on about as far as Blood-Starved Beast, and briefly bounced off it, and then back to Scholar. So it's no real fault of Bloodborne. It was just kind of the siren call of the Emerald Herald.
But to be fair, I've had the exact opposite experience. I sort of bounced off Dark Souls Scholar for a little bit for the podcast, and then it's like, right, no, back to Bloodborne. I can't stop playing this now.
But it's kind of
hard.
It's kind of come back around quite nicely though, because I enjoyed those forays with Bloodborne and going in together and looking around, even if you were a bit of a run-off Reginald.
You said you'd been to the Blood-Starved Beast. I thought you knew the level. It's hard. Where I kind of know this thing now. Like I know, well, a lot of the early areas, some of the later areas, not so much. But like the early game, like up to at least past probably the Vicar boss, I know like the back of my goddamn hand now. Like I can go through it without looking now. Like it's in my brain. So I just assume everyone else knows that as well. So I would go this way.
Well, there was the thing, you just tore off, and I think it was you that called it afterwards, where you were like, "Yeah, I really should have let you lead on that."
Because you sort of wandered off. You're going the wrong way. Hang on.
No, because I was still like, I want to go over there, and I want to go over there. I think I was doing it out of spite at a certain point as well, because I was like, fucking come here! This is my game!
I was doing the point and you were going the other way, and it was incredibly frustrating.
Well, you've also got the thing as well where I don't know what you're like when you're playing Bloodborne or the Souls games on your own, but I'm kind of, especially when the recommendation of putting headphones were on, I'm like drowning in the atmosphere and listening to everything and kind of taking things really, really, really cautiously and just submerging myself in the world. And then I'll just hear you like running off and exclaiming like Kenneth Williams from a Carry On film, "Oh, hello!" And then like smashing into something. I'm just like patting you straight in the atmosphere. I love you, but no.
Well, that's the thing, because I've had my run where I've taken my time and thinking it, and now I'm trying to break it.
You need to think about other people. This will come back around for your marriage. I don't mean it like that. Jesus,
wow.
That came out badly.
It's getting quite real, isn't it?
Yeah, in about 10 years' time, you'd be like, that piece of advice you gave me on that Bloodborne episode.
Remember that episode we talked about the goat for half an hour? Yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Right, sure then.
I think like co-op is not quite as easy in Bloodborne. If you want to do a dedicated co-op run, you've got to jump through a few hoops before you can even like start it working.
I think a lot of the time it was when I think I was ringing the bell at the lamp, but if I moved away from it, that's where it kind of found you, and I don't know.
No, outside of that, I think because you need to be at 10 insight to buy the small bell, the tinkly "I'm going to help you" bell.
Okay,
you've got to get a little bit in to have that much insight. Like you've got to kill at least 2 of the bosses and explore fully a couple of the areas to get enough Madman's insight to become that insightful.
It doesn't really go out of its way, does it, to tell you what it does though? Well, to tell you that you should find the bell to summon people.
It gives you the one there people can help you, but like the one where you can help them, it's kind of like it just turned up in the shop. On my first run, it just turned up in the shop. I was like, oh, I can buy that now, I guess. And then
this comes
didn't
back
understand
around
why
a
the
little
shop
bit
vanished when I bought it. So.
Yeah, well, this comes back around to conversations people were having when Dark Souls 2 was on its way, and they said that they were going to make it more accessible, and people jumped on it because they were thinking they were going to make it all filth casual, and that folks quite liked. I don't know, on the face of it, people say they quite liked the Enigma. But what it meant was they were going on a fucking wiki to find out what it did.
So if you wanted true Enigma, you wanted to play it in that week before it came out and be like, literally, there's nowhere telling me what this fucking does.
Well, this
I've got a number by my souls. I don't know what it does. Every now and again I can spend it, but sometimes things are different. Is that causing it? Is the game causing it? Who knows?
But again, it comes back around to what I was saying about Dark Souls 2 anyway, that a lot of folks that came to Dark Souls sort of late when all the lore and everything had been mined and everybody knew what everything did, were happy as Larry because they could ask people, they could bounce on wikis and stuff. The best playthroughs are the ones where you know fuck all.
Yeah, I mean, I find it quite ironic that the insight item in Bloodborne, like you acquire insight, which is supposed to be knowledge of things, but I was getting more and more confused by it as it was going on.
Well, nobody knew how it worked.
The further on I got,
nobody knew what it did until the guide, really, did they? Now we know what it actually does. But what do people want? Because people seem to think that they want something that's more obtuse. And the conversations and everything are a part of it. But if you're just jumping onto a wiki or you're asking people, rather than kind of getting your head down with it, then really?
Yeah, it loses the sparkle. I think a lot of sure, if you've beaten the game and you still don't know what it does, then go on, look it up. I mean, honestly, but yeah, it's fun working out what it does, and it's fun that the game doesn't tell you explicitly what it does. And it was like you say, like people have been. Particularly before the guide came out, like there were still wild theories about what insight did what, and at what point, at what level of insight this would unlock, or does hitting this number do anything, and then
but that's
get this much
exciting
and
to
run
be
around for a bit.
of.
Yeah, it's exciting. It's experimenting. It's banging your head against the world to see if you can work out how it's ticking.
But I think on the other side of it, I mean, in Dark Souls 2, you're kind of actively told what the soapstone does, and at the time of Dark Souls hitting, it was a criticism because people didn't know what Humanity did, and that was a fair criticism, I think. I mean, on my sort of first playthrough, I didn't have a clue what Humanity did.
I'm so lucky I had you to tell me what that did, because I would never have worked it out.
Yeah, but I'm sure I got that initially when I started watching Epic Name Bros vids. Like after I finished my first run, I think that's where I discovered sort of his vids, and then I had no idea that fucking wooden stick would be one of the best strength weapons in the game, or that was the second run where I was kind of like, oh, this does this, and I can do this, and it sort of opened my mind up a bit to experimentation. So
yeah,
I don't know. Whichever your flavour, I guess. But there's no right or wrong answer. I just think that a lot of the time people seem to be settling on a right or a wrong answer. I don't even know if that's what I'm doing. Who am I again?
I think you're the one who knows what they're doing. So
we then arrived
we
at
first tried. Was it Gaza we went for first?
No, we went to Blood-Starved Beast because I don't know if I mentioned this last time, but when we were trying to meet up, we couldn't after I'd beaten Gascoigne, and there was some lad that was down there who was just fucking tearing me a new arse. He was wearing clothes clearly made of some sort of Karamak, but he was tearing me apart.
He is not easy. His name is Henrik.
Yeah, I had to move on a bit further before I could bring you in, but we had a twat about the streets and stuff. And first, I mean, when we first arrived at Blood-Starved Beast, you were which weapon are you
At this point, I was using... Oh, Christ. Because I wasn't using the character I wanted to use. I built a character specifically for the run and then realised that we couldn't do the summoning because it would take a little while. So I just picked the closest character I had, who was about 3 insight away from it. I was like, yeah, you'll do. If you're listening, Sean, I'm sorry. I've used Steve Buscemi. I'm sorry. I picked a guy who was using, if I'm not mistaken, the axe and the blunderbuss. Cool. And I was pretty much two-handing the axe, if I remember rightly.
Because I know we had a lot of fun with like, whoa, I've set you on fire. Because we discovered that the torches are actually pretty groovy weapons. Or you
torches are incredible.
What was because you had a level of torch which was better than the one that I was mucking about with.
Yeah, the Hunter's Torch is an item you pick up in Old Yarnum just a little bit later, just not too much later, and you pick it up down the bottom, and it's just like a regular torch, but it can do real damage. And if you do upgrade it, I think it scales with Arcane. The more Arcane you've got, the better fire damage it does, and it turns into. By the point I was using it, I think on my other character who I'm using to catch up rapidly. It was better than my cleaver for just flat getting rid of people. Like, it was boom, boom, dead.
Because I'm rubbish with the guns. I am rubbish with them. Pantaloons.
So you were never good at parrying, and this is all part of the same.
I was terrible at parrying. So yeah, whilst you were running with those pair, I took the opportunity to crack out the Kirk hammer, and. It kind of worked out nicely within the strategy because I was wading in with daddy swipes whilst you were doing your kind of stabby tickles.
I remember lots of cackling and laughing.
Yeah, there's something really quite comedic to me about the Kirk hammer. Like it should be in some sort of Cartoon Network show where somebody sort of swings it and the legs go up in the air as it comes down. So it does that whomp. But yeah, I didn't realise I didn't remember that I could be poisoned by the Blood-Starved Beast. So died. And then we went back for another run.
For run 2.
Yeah, and that's the one where you were just like tearing off into the distance and you were like, where are you? And I just sort of like, right, I'm going around here, I'm going around here.
I think I might have been using my real character by that point.
I think you were on this one, yeah.
The green-haired one. Which I should mention, I'm doing an arcane build. Yes.
Yeah, because I actually recorded a video with that. So and I've watched it a couple of times.
Was that the fight where we eventually beat it and you did something silly at the end?
Well, beforehand, do you remember we were going towards the fog gate on this one and we were invaded right before we got to the fog gate.
Oh my god! Yeah,
and I was like, running for the fog gate. Where are you? And you'd gone back to hit him. And as I turned around and went down the steps, you'd obviously gone, oh, we're not fighting him. We're going in. And you ran up the steps as I ran down the steps. It was like twinhumanitiespodcast.
Well, I think what was going through my head is I saw the guy summon in. And I thought, right, I'm gonna distract him for a second. You run, get in that door, and I'll follow you. And it did work.
Do you remember what our devastating invader was called?
I remember what the first invader was called. I don't remember the one right by the door.
What was
there was one before, wasn't there?
Yeah.
Our very first invasion, I summoned into your world using my arcane build character, who was equipped with a flamethrower and all sorts of fun toys. We go through the Old Yarnum doors.
Awesome.
Yeah, we went through the Old Yarnum doors, and we were invaded by Shaft.
Shaft, that was it. Can you dig it? Because that was the one where we were running round and we were looking for the lady with the bell, and you were like, oh, she's normally around here. I think she's around here. I was like, do you think she's round the corner? You were like, no, she's definitely not around the corner. And where was she?
I literally scoured the entire of the upper area. Do you know what? I think I even looked straight at her like once or twice and just didn't register. I don't know why, but it's like, oh, it's a statue, and just wandered off.
Because at that point, I don't think I'd even seen one of those before.
I felt like a right
and so I was like, this is her.
Yeah, I felt like I was a divvy. I completely didn't see her. It must have been just having idiot mode. The actual invader was brilliant. Like we actually, I used basically every vial I had.
Yeah, it was a good fight.
And I did learn just how fun the flamethrower is to use against people, because I was just stood there I thought, I wonder if I could fight properly, or should I just flamethrower? So I caught them in a corridor, got my flamethrower out, and just held the button down and just cackled with glee. Just yes, walk into my fire. You can't roll from fire.
But it was a good fight. To say that he was fighting two of us, they really hold their own.
And fights can go on a lot longer because you can heal with impunity. So fights can go on way longer, which is actually quite satisfying. I find I really enjoy a good satisfying fight like that. Speaking of that, and there was a video floating around the other day. Did you see about the Bloodborne PvP fight that lasted 2 hours?
Was that the one with the courtesy where people kept backing off and like bound to each other and then fully healing up and stuff? And
no. This was a little bit later in the game. There's one of the boss rooms where if you go in, but don't go too far, it will trigger the boss.
Okay.
Or like if you go in but don't trigger the boss, the fog door will be there for the invader but not for you.
Okay.
So I think the host went into the boss room but didn't trigger the boss. The invader stayed outside the room. And neither of them were seeming to want to give up. So one would sort of, the host would sort of poke their head out through the fog door, try and have a few swipes, and then roll back in again. They'd both stand on the other side trying to huck projectiles at each other, trying to whittle each other down. It was mental. 2 hours worth of this guy until they eventually gave up and had a proper fight of it. But neither of them wanted to give up. I think the invader was just sat there doing the sit down gesture for about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Just waiting for this person to come out. They could have easily just walked forward, triggered the boss, and ended it. But I think that's kind of cool that you can spend 2 hours on a single invasion and still have fun with it.
Our second invader, the one that invaded just before the Blood-Starved Beast boss door, had the devastating name of Matt.
This is my favourite thing. I love that now you can select to see the name of the character rather than someone's PSN name.
I'd like that to be a feature of Souls games in general. But yeah, everything, because I agree. I think it's great.
But yeah, no. So what do you think about Blood-Starved Beast as a fight?
I think the fights. I enjoyed it more in co-op because, again, in the same way as when I summoned my first person in to beat Gascoigne because I wasn't good enough. I like being able to revert to the Kirkhammer and kind of bring the daddy smacks in whilst the boss is distracted with somebody else. And I find that really satisfying to hammer in those smackdowns.
Oh, totally.
I think there's almost... I mean, it's... A few folks have said that Bloodborne takes a few cues from Monster Hunter with regards to, like bigger weapons, heavier weapons, weapons that transform into other weapons. And I think that's something about the Kirkhammer that I'm quite enjoying with it, because you can't just like twat in as you would be with a sword, or even with kind of like the threaded cane and stuff. You have to wait for your attacks, and you have to... I don't know, you have to know when to run away and know when you've got this warmth of momentum to run up and kick in, and I dug the fuck out of that once I got my head around it.
The axe has got a similar sort of thing. The axe in Bloodborne has a similar thing, like the two-handed version is the same sort of thing. You've got to wait and really sort of pick your moments, and you've got to know that moveset as well. Like if you go for the wrong attack and you do the slow one, like you can screw up the whole run just by a poorly chosen attack, and you've got to learn your moves.
Well, there was the thing when in the drift away from the original Dark Souls, where a lot of people who love Souls found their way to Monster Hunter 3 Ultimate and really, really clicked with it. And maybe a few of those folks might have been people that are using, two-handing great swords and stuff. I don't know, but that then had a knock-on effect to Monster Hunter 4 being so popular as it has been on the 3DS. And I think that a lot of those same people that have tried that out have maybe then gone, well, I've not heard a lot about, I didn't think the Souls games were for me, but I'll give Bloodborne a go. And I think there's this sort of nice little pocket of not only the Souls franchise growing, but it's swerving into your Monster Hunters and stuff, and coming back around, and there's this wonderful cross pollination of frankly shit hot games.
An evolution, some would say.
Yeah, but I I'm really genuinely disturbed by that kind of flappy, flayed skin of it. I mean, I was showing the boss battle to my friend Pete, who comes over and watches anime on of a Saturday or a Sunday morning, and he's a really big sort of science fiction and movie guy. Doesn't play games, but it's always interesting to kind of get his perspective coming from somewhere else. And when we were chatting, we were saying that even the run up to the Blood-Starved Beast boss battle actually looked like an old film with practical effects. It looks like a graveyard that was built rather than being CGI, which when you think about it being a video game is pretty daft, really. But it does. There's this wonderful kind of sheen about it, and it looks like a model, like a set that's been built, a little diorama. But yeah, there's something about the Blood-Starved Beast in of itself which
with a big, it's like a diorama, but with a big melted wolf at the end.
Well, one of the things that I find the most terrifying about horror is when there's something that I can't reason with, and that it's that aggressive that I can't really look it in the eye.
Because he's starved. He wants your blood, like more than he doesn't want you to die. He wants to eat you.
Yeah.
But that actually leads to a good wrinkle in that fight. There's a really good wrinkle on that move in the fight. I learned this in a Vati video, I believe. That the Blood-Starved Beast, if you pay attention to the name, he's blood-starved. He wants some blood. The pungent blood cocktail item, which is the equivalent of the alluring skull from Souls, basically a jar of blood you can throw and will make enemies go get it, works on the boss. He will go and like you can just chuck a thing and go like, right, fetch, and he will go and get that blood. And I was doing that in our fight, and you didn't notice me doing it. And I was kind of distracting him every now and again when it was getting too hairy, and he'd run away and do that so we could heal up.
Yeah, forgive me, I was a child of panic.
I know, right? But I've done that fight a few times now. I've got the measure of the big flappy bastard with his gorgeous flesh cape.
Cover for me. I'm pulling the curtains drawn and putting a lamp on.
All right, well, no one will notice.
Lamps are in Bloodborne.
But yeah, no, I found that excuse me, that using like the items in that particular fight, using items is far more effective than other fights of that ilk. Hucking fire bombs at it and using the well done, good cover. I've learned like any weapon that has a serrated edge, like the saw cleaver, the saw spear, the whip mode of the threaded cane, will have a bonus attack against beasts, and he is one of those.
Ooh, really?
Fire damage always works well against the beast class enemies as well. So if you can get some fire paper on your saw, your saw cleaver, hell yeah, son.
I was going to say I had some on my Kirk hammer, but I didn't know. So why is there extra damage on the likes of the threaded cane and stuff?
Because they have what is known as a serrated attack. So anything that has kind of teeth on it. So you've got your saw cleavers untransformed mode. Same with the saw spear, the threaded cane's transformed version. I think there's one or two more, but for the life of me, I cannot think of them right now. There's a few, and they will have that extra attack bonus. And when you fight a beast enemy, it will give you a little bit better attack on that beast. Thanks, Bloodborne Guide.
Yeah, cool.
And you can use that. Yeah, and I used that particular thing because later on, once we finished up for the night, we'd beaten the Blood-Starved Beast in your game, and I was sort of, right, well, I'm going to take my character and level them up a bit because I was doing an arcane build. And it works a little bit different in Bloodborne than it would in a Souls game, whereas a magic build doesn't necessarily use spells all the time. They just use a different stat for their attack bonuses, and there's a few different toys they can use. The initial game for an arcane build is tough. Like you don't get many upgrades to your damage till at least I would say the 4 bosses in. I would say you can do a little bit of sequence breaking and get a bit ahead. As I did, and you can find yourself a gemstone you can mush into your one of your weapons to give you fire damage, which uses your arcane as its buff. So I was just happily plugging points into my arcane, for the first 2 or 3 bosses of the game, doing no real difference to the damage I was outputting, but thinking soon Soon it'll be there, anytime now. And while I was doing that, realised, of course, that when you buff your arcane, your fire damage goes up. And what do you have that does fire damage? You have Molotovs. Molotov damage is better with high arcane. Because I had a go at the cleric beast with my arcane person, and the Molotovs were very, very good. And I'm talking, I barely had to touch the cleric beast with my actual weapon. I was just hucking Molotovs at it, and it was most of the health by itself. Glorious. And that showed itself again on later when I was summoned in to help people fight the Blood-Starved Beast. Like, it was like, whoa, okay, that did pretty good damage for a Molotov. I'll take that. But what you can do, because you can only slot this fire gemstone into your weapon when your weapon is at a +6, which requires twin bloodstone shards, which are the second kind of thing.
Twin bloodstone shards.
Upgrade your weapon to +6.
You should have stopped.
We should have stopped early. We should have finished strong. That's
What
always
do you mean
my problem.
we?
Shut up. So you don't really get them in the main, like, in the considered standard path. You wouldn't really find them. So I did a bit of sequence breaking, and I thought, can I get twin bloodstone shards without beating any more bosses? The answer is yes.
Oh, wow.
The answer is yes. There is a little bit of, well, I say sequence breaking. You can do it at any point, really, past a certain boss. Basically, I won't spoil it for you. There's a jail area, and that's there's a jail, and in there are some enemies that will drop them, and you can actually, they're quite tough, but you can cheese them into a corridor. And I do apologise for anyone who thinks you should play things pure. I did cheese them in the corridor for about 2 hours to get I believe it is 16 twin bloodstone shards necessary to get up to a +6.
Look, I can't say anything after spending most of my day off getting the remaining 24 Loist Knight souls.
Wow. Yeah, so I spent
I
spent a long time there battering these enemies in the corridor. And again, this is with my arcane character, who is not outputting great damage at this point. Still doing early game damage, so it's taking a while. I'm very good at the sword cleaver now, by the way. I've had a lot of practice. But I finally popped my +6, and I chucked my fire gemstone in it. And as a test, I went back to the same place I was farming to see, what difference, because I was fighting quite strong enemies there. I wasn't leveling up my my character. I was just spending the money on buying vials and molotovs and stuff to sort of stay at the same level. Oh boy, oh boy, arcane builds are satisfying.
Yeah,
being able to go back and having that sudden turn where you go from I've done piss poor damage, I'm doing piss poor damage, I'm going to plug this in my sword cleaver, and woof, like they kind of, the fire burst goes on the end of your sword, like normal Dark Souls will do. It kind of goes whoosh when you attack, and just seeing the health bar like that used to just trickle down tick by tick, just half of it gone, and you're like, come on, yes, we are become death.
I think there's something to be said though about Bloodborne that. There's a lot of people that have finished the game and not discovered everything to the point where there's a kind of delicious paranoia that if you do go racing back to previous areas that you might find stuff. And I know on when listening to Dark Souls, I know it was David Turners that was mentioning it, that he's enjoyed going back to areas that he's already done and just racing around them and fighting things and having fun with the levels. But but yeah, if you
going back to something that's previously battered you, it's been great. Oh, it's been so good. I ran through Central Yarnum just laughing like a freaking maniac, going, ha ha! You thought you could push me around? I'll show ye who is doing the pushing. I don't go well when given power. I tend to lose it. But I've now started researching what other weapons will take arcane, and some of them work better than others. I flat refuse to use Ludwig's Holy Blade for the simple reason that it is considered the best weapon. So I don't want to use it, and I know that sounds kind of, but I don't know. Like you see on, you watch a lot of YouTube vids, and a lot of people are using it, and a lot of people say it's the best weapon. The guide even says it's one of the best weapons, and I'm like,
is it the Primarch sword of Bloodborne?
It really is.
If there was the Drake sword in Dark Souls, and what the probably the Fire Long sword in Demon Souls
I would
and
say
Dark
so.
Souls 2.
Yeah.
Although I have used a good chunk of the Fire Longsword on this playthrough of Scholar that I've been doing on Xbox One, so I can't really.
Cheese-tastic. But yeah, I like the look of the Holy Blade, and I think it's a cool weapon, and it's got some really good moves, but I don't know. It just seems like picking the best weapon because it is the best, not because it's the most fun.
Yeah.
I've had a lot of fun with the stake driver weapon, which is the one used by Jura up the tower in Old Yarnham, and it's not the strongest, but it is very, very fun. And hitting the charged R2 on that in its transform mode is up there with the most satisfying hits you can nail, like nailing a good parry. Like it's one of those. It's like, I'm going to charge up. This is the longest charge up move in the game, and they explode. It's glorious. But I've dibbed around now. I found a couple of. I found my first actual spell. I found a spell. These items that I'd been picking up in my first game and not realising what they were. Like, if anyone... Like, if you're listening, I don't want to call people out on bullshit, but if you went arcane on your first run, you're a liar. Nobody did. Like, nobody went arcane on their first run. It's so well hidden. You don't find out what it does for hours. And if you worked it out early, well done you. You are the smartest man or woman alive.
But what you're saying is you don't believe they exist.
No, you're not a real person. I don't believe in you. You're a fake person. But no, and the first item I found is it's a buff. It's a buff spell. So it's not even an attacking spell of any kind. It's a buff. And they use quicksilver bullets to fire. So you're still using, mana in a sense. But you're using your quicksilver bullets as your ammo. And it takes about... The one I found takes about 6. And it's one called the Hunter Bone. And it basically increases your mobility. So it makes you faster. It makes you dodge better. Do you know how this manifests? You go poof as you move around. So when you hit the dodge button, you kind of teleport a short distance, a little bit like Nightcrawler.
Cool, but a bump.
You feel like a proper, I am now a wizard. I have a magic cleaver, and I can go poof around the stage. Everyone else can eat it. But yeah, I've managed to push quite far into a few areas without fighting any bosses. So when we go back, I'll be the same level, and we can fight the bosses, and it will be night and day. My character has now become the most useful.
Cool. That gives me a little extra flavour to have a little solo jaunt into the level beyond where we finished. But
I know what we need to do. I know what we need to do. You need
Shut
to
up
both
a minute.
Take Molotovs, and we'll both take turns chucking them at the same enemy to see how the damage changes. Oh my god, let's do that. I'm really into that.
But to jump back a bit, we had a swipe at the I can't even say it now. Blood-Starved Beast.
The Blood.
I didn't realise about Antidote, and I died part way through the battle. And then when we went back, just before we ran away from Matt the Invader, devastating Matt, we killed him.
Sorry, Matt.
We killed the Blood-Starved Beast.
Yeah. Oh no, we left his fight. That's what I mean.
Then just after we killed him, I died of poison.
Yeah, because we were too busy celebrating, going, "Yeah, we did it!" And I was I think I was doing the clapping animation, and your character just fell over, and I was, oh no.
My character looked like he was going to cheer, and then just went, ah!
It was a wonderful moment, because I was all happy, and I saw you fall over. I was watching your character when it happened.
It was beautiful.
And you just you went a little bit quiet. I was like, oh.
But yeah, I'm up for a bit more of this. So yeah,
damn right.
Even though I'm on the early shift tomorrow, I might have a bit of a tickle on Bloodus before I go to sleep, even though it's not really the sort of thing you should play before you go to sleep, I don't think.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
Nightmares are good.
Yeah, thanks, man. Because I sleep so well.
Yeah! You might as well remember it. You might as well make it exciting, eh?
Right, so on to other news. We recorded a few episodes with the Bonfireside chaps.
Yes, we did.
Yes, Gary and Cole from Bonfireside Chat were kind enough to invite us on, and we covered the second part of Yarnham with time for the appendix episode in the aftermath.
Yeah, second part of Yarnham being the sewers up to Gascoigne, pretty much.
Yeah, so I've been on before. This was your first episode.
It was.
Honestly, I loved every second. Firstly, I fucking love that show anyway. But I do think the Canny Lads, they've got a belting sense of humour, and whilst they are incredibly organised and incredibly knowledgeable, that sense of humour, I think that if led astray, like we do, I think. I don't know. I just remember that whole conversation with a real smile that we tackled stuff. We went off topic and giggled like loons.
Boy, howdy, did we go off topic?
But we giggled about stuff that was in Bloodborne as well. But we still covered a lot of the bases and a lot of the deeper stuff. And I don't know. It was a proper good chat.
It was good. I saw an excellent tweet shortly in the aftermath. It was nice to see us on there and turn what is usually a very carefully planned and well organised podcast into utter chaos. And I felt quite proud.
I don't know. I mean, it was a real pleasure to be a part of. I know we said it at the time, and I don't know if those gents get time to listen to us, but thank you for having us on. We really loved it. Plus, like as you were saying, it seems to have gone down double well with folks that have listened to it. The appendix...
say worth staying up till 1:30 to record for, eh?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, at the time of us talking today, the second episode's not long since gone up. So if you've not listened to that or both of them, go do so.
Get on that, yo.
Come back, listen to this first.
It's like, imagine one of our shows, but slightly, more organised.
Yeah, they are very organised. But yeah, we had a good natter, and I don't know. It was nice to hear folks getting excited for it beforehand, and then I don't know. Nice to wake up and see people say that they've had a good laugh or. Look,
Do you know what? Let's just make a wild promise here. We're going to get them on our show at some point. Boom! Now we have to.
Yeah, but I'd like to get Gary and Cole on our show in a different capacity, and I have discussed that capacity in before. I don't think it'll be this show.
Spoilers.
I quite like to do something else with Gary and Cole, which
we'll meet again.
Yeah, I've discussed it a little bit with Pad beforehand, which is maybe something new that we might do with the Humanities, like a different twist on things. But
we're doing Minecraft videos, basically.
Minecraft videos, yeah. Right, so we then went went to Scholar of the First Sin. We did some co-op on that.
Back we went, and it was we got silly in the Bastille, didn't we?
We did. So last time we had a world of fun in No Man's Wharf, exploring the amazing lighting engine, the funky surprises, the amazing new NPCs, and a little surprise that you discovered who was
Nige. Our mate Nigel.
Nigel.
Who is, I think about Nigel all the time. I swear I walk to work thinking about Nigel, and that frigging song that we recorded at the end comes on the radio at work, and I find myself strutting around thinking about a little old guy with a torch.
Yeah, I had a good giggle about that a few times, but I think there might be another Nigel in the game. So, but I haven't been back there to test that out yet. So we'll see, and we'll see if you find it, or if you just go, "Are you another Nigel?" Or if you just go like, "There's a man," and then hit him.
Do you know? It's gonna actually kill me doing my Nigel testing. I'm gonna stand there going, "Are you a Nigel?" Stab. Oh.
So Nigel was a seemingly ordinary, perfectly killable enemy who, if you let him, will not attack you with his torch. He will light your way through the level, and you have to you have to protect him. Yeah, which is quite difficult as well. So
because let's be fair, as much as we love him, he's not the brightest spark.
No, well, he is the brightest spark.
Well, that's true. In our hearts.
It's because he's holding a torch, which is really light.
Are you fake laughing because I'm real laughing now?
No, I was putting it on, but it started to hurt. You are. Shut up! Shut up! You ruined this fucking podcast. Anyway, this time we'd reached the Lost Bastille, or Lost Bastille.
The Bastille.
So it's now one of my favourite levels in the entire game. So your thoughts?
Yeah, it's a bit different, isn't it?
It's quite a bit different.
We went in the front way first, did we not?
We did. We didn't go in by the bird's nest, did we? We went through
the wharf way, and yeah, it's a little bit different now, isn't it? It feels more like, as you said when we were playing, it feels more like a fortified castle. There are knights on the edges with crossbows that are firing at you that weren't there before. It feels, first run up is very different now.
Yeah, it feels defended.
The hide knight's buggered off. The bandaged knight you meet firstly on that area is gone completely as well. There's more dogs. There's more standard guys with the big curvy Soul Reaver swords and the crossbows. Quite dangerous as well, Because I'm just getting in trouble with that. I'm getting quite hurt here. What's going on?
With the sort of bandaged guys now, sort of captaining the boats that go to the wharf. And then return to the Bastille. I don't know, and the Bastille being as fortified as it is, it feels like the cursed, the unfavoured are here to be guarded and guarded against. And I think almost the chiselled and broken battlements reflect not just the battles that have been going on sort of throughout Drang Lake, but perhaps the battles within the Bastille itself, which is really, really cool. And also, I don't know, the experiments that have been going on there, and even the place where you fight the ruin sentinels is something when you think about it in the aftermath that's really quite sinister about that. I can imagine people or even whether they be regular people or the cursed or the exploding sort of guys thrown into that fight sequence with the ruin sentinels, and almost like the soldiers high up on those battlements just sitting around and watching and cheering on. There's something quite gladiatorial about it, and that my latest ponderings about it, which gave it almost a little more character again. So
yeah, and there's also the new surprises.
More importantly,
one surprise.
More importantly, Barry, as in the phrase, "Can you Barry the pursuer?"
Very good. Christ. I've been wondering what Barry meant for an hour. Christ.
That was put on.
Pursuer's back, isn't he?
Yeah, and then some. And
then a third. So we went to the area. I believe we went to the Tower Apart bonfire for this first. This is the
let's just state firstly that the pursuer isn't in the Bastille, in the original version.
No, we've never there.
And we've met him 3 times up to this point.
3 times, yeah, so far. We cracked him from the Tower Apart fire, the one you get to from the Bird's Nest. The one I always think of as the canon first way in, because that's the way I got there first. Let me say, I was not well prepared for that on my first run. We went to the first bit where you can kind of go around the outside of a building and you look in, and there's the knight with the curvy sword, and he stood near the barrel that you can knock down and blow up the bottom bit. So I jolly off round to the side and drop down onto the outside part where there's always a chest and you can sort of go from the outside. So I just wander off, and I think you went into the room, to start dealing with the dogs, and I just sort of wander away. And I see the chest, and I sort of go to open the chest, and just out of habit more than anything else, turn the camera around to look behind me while I open the chest, because I always do, just in case anything, jumps out at you. And I open the chest, and then the floor starts to glow, and then a sword appears, and I think then I panicked. And I started squealing. I don't remember what I did. Do you remember what I did? Because I just remember it as a big panicky blur.
I remember you sort of screaming out, "Oh no, oh no!" And I was thinking, well, where are you? Because I didn't realise you could get to that area from up top. And then I was like, well, where are you? Oh,
yeah. I'm outside, right. I'm outside. Yeah. Hurry, please.
And with there being 2 of us, we really had to take on Barry. So I barreled into the room, and we had a good little knockabout with Daft Lad.
He did, yeah. And he does attacks. He turns up in steam train Cylon mode as well, doesn't he? Where he's all smoky and red eye.
Yeah, I didn't realise that he actually does the that magic attack in his boss fight in Forest of the Fallen Giants. Sometimes
I've never
as well.
seen it. I've never seen him do the lean back and the chest burst.
Yeah, I think I saw it on a stream, but I was like, really? Did I just miss that, or was it? Might have been New Game Plus, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
I'll tell you what, I didn't enjoy getting hit by that blooming curse blade thing he does that makes you cursed and lose your humanity. I just popped the humanity as well. I was like, you dick.
Well, I don't think that was the first time that we fought him in this. Was
No,
it?
it was that was the first one.
Okay.
That was the one with, oh, he's here.
Because then the second time was down in the main sort of area where you first dropped down.
Which one was that? Yes, it was. And he turned up there. Yeah.
It was another one of those moments where you went, "Wait, no."
Yeah, it was.
And then,
once again, in our series of postcards, why are you here?
You're not supposed to be here.
But
the realization when you just saw that smoke and you were like, what? No, because I think you did this sort of almost Scooby-Doo thing of like running around to go towards the enemy that you were going to go towards, and then spinning right around in a curve as you were like, hold on, wait a minute, what the? So
he wasn't there because he wasn't there the first time we went in that area. He turned up there later. Which is worse.
Yeah, I like that.
That's worse, because we cleaned it out first and I thought that area was safe. I thought I knew. I didn't know. I didn't know. You never know.
But I don't know if when we saw the pursuer that time, had we been around the level and were coming out of that door near where he
I'm not sure. Now. I think we'd come at that area fresh on that run. I'm not sure, because we came from the back way, didn't we?
Yeah, I think we did, because we did things a sort of wonky way round, really, just to see if we could.
All over the Bastille, just for the hell of it.
Yeah.
But my favourite one was the third one, which turns out when you go up the top of the area, and there is a sort of small set of battlements you can reach outside where you can go along and kind of pick up the odd item. And he turns up there on the tiny small battlements.
This is almost like a classic Souls thing, isn't it? Where you'll get a certain enemy, but part of the battle is the area that you fight them in. That Capra in Dark Souls is in that tiny area. And
God, this is some podcast classic. This is big guy in a small area.
I mean, we weren't so bad sort of when we were fighting him on that area. On the ground, but
it was scary, but we had room to move. Up there was, you roll wrong, you're dead, idiot.
But we almost got like sort of the big patch of greenery at the bottom near where you enter Lost Bastille. Then you got that room that you wandered into and screamed like a small child.
Yep.
Which was still relatively spacey, even if more cramped than you fought in before. And then this was tiny as fuck, wasn't it?
Here's a tiny ledge. Good luck. And we managed it though, didn't we? It was close.
Yeah.
Do you know what? I took more damage. I took more friggin' damage. This is going to make me sound like a complete fool. I took more damage off the next standard sword guy than I did off the pursuer. I just completely screwed it up, and I just got stabbed in the head like 4 times. It's like,
but there were 2 of us, and I think that makes a difference, because and many of my solo forays where I've met the pursuer, it's been like nope.
Yeah. Run away. But I have found that I'm getting a bit more used to my new sword and sword strategy. I'm for the first time going big sword in Dark Souls 2. I never went big sword. I've gone big hammer. But I've never gone big sword, and I was using a bastard sword, and then I bought another one and leveled that up so that I was double bastard. And there's no cooler feeling than being double bastard. Like, I've got 2 of these, I'm double bastard. And now I've switched out. Now my strength is at the point where I can switch out for the great sword, the Cloud Strife Buster sword, the Ironing Board of Justice. And in its unupgraded form, it was doing better than my bastard sword, and I think I'm already in love with it.
I think like my run on PS4 with you in Scholar is a little unsatisfying on the weapon front at the moment, because I'm trying to do something different than the kind of double sword, high strength, high dex run that I'm using on the Xbox One.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to throw things into... I think I'm trying to do things with miracles this time. But on the one hand, they take a while to pay off further on in the game. On the other side, where I'd done sort of magic and miracles runs in Dark Souls, there's part of me that's just like, I'm not really that arsed about that now.
I know what you do. I've worked it out.
Mm-hmm.
I've worked it out. You picked something up in the Bastille a bit early. You picked up a twin blade. Use the twin blade. Beat Darth Maul.
Well, I think the answer probably a bit further down the line is to pick up a weapon which uses sort of, high miracle abilities, which is quite I don't know, a bit of a beast, but uses miracle as part of that. But we're doing things differently on this one.
Is there a weapon similar to the blue flame sword that you can use the sword and sorcery with? Because that's a cool sword.
There is a blue flame sword in there, but I'm not using sorcery. I'm using miracles. So I don't know.
Is there an alternative for faith? Let us know.
There must be. Yeah, please do let us know, because I'm going to sort of try and go towards that. So
it'll turn out it's a shield, and that's
Yeah, no, we're still having fun with it, and I'm still kind of avoiding using shields.
Yeah, and I think we did quite well on the boss fight as well, didn't we? Ruined Sentinels.
Well, I mean, before we get to those, I mean, one thing that I quite like in Repose is that. And perhaps it's the first time I've noticed it, but I love how Strayed is surrounded by the explodey bandage guys, like loads of them, as if anyone gets near him, or if he wakes, they're goners. It's just really, really cool, and it sort of adds to that fortified feel. But yeah, the Ruined Sentinels, or the 3 Golden Golfers, as I like to call them. Going in, we had 2 summons. We had Pilgrim Belclair,
who was there before.
And Felicia the Brave, who's another amazing female NPC, armoured to fuck, huge shield and lance. I love that. It's really, really cool.
Well, it was it's not a spear, it was one of the lances, wasn't it?
Yeah, she got a lance, yeah.
The charge ones, which are fun.
Yeah.
It looks cool. And we had a good time with this boss. Did we fail at all? I don't think we did.
I don't think that we did. I mean, I think that... obviously, we were going in previously. I'm sure it was just you and I that when we played it initially on Dark Souls 2. But here we had 2 other people, 2 other summons coming in with us. And Felicia's got that charge attack, and Pilgrim Belclair is he magic?
Yeah, sorceries.
Yeah, so
fucking loads of them.
So we had quite a bit going on, and whilst. I think it was another one of those in Scholar of the First Sin where the boss battle is more spectacle than grind, as it was previously. I don't particularly mind that, because there are so many quirks within the levels themselves. Kind of the addiction this time feels as much about exploring and being afraid of, like you were saying with the you took more damage from a single sword enemy than you did from the pursuer. I like that there's this constant momentum to keep moving on, and whilst you can dial up or dial down that challenge as much as you want, depending on how many you want to bring in. It's up to you, but I enjoyed the spectacle of the fight that we had. I thought it was really cool.
Plus got to see some things that I've never seen happen before. Like early on when we jumped down and were fighting the 2, one of them hucked his shield at me really, really early, and just this giant gold shield clattered me in the back of the head. I was like, what the fuck was that? But I don't know, I found our tactics on that were really good, because it was you and the 2 summons on one of them, and I was just kind of keeping the other one busy, laughing at it, because once I think it's one of those fights with the Golden Golfers, with the Ruined Sentinels. Once you've gotten their rhythm down, once you've worked out their attacks, because I fought them 100 times now, I've fought them so much. Once you can work out their attacks, you can make mockery of them. Mockery. And I think, again, like, the second time we fought them, I don't think I took more than 1 hit for the whole fight. I was just dancing around. It was either Ricky or Yahim, I can't remember which one it was. But I was just dancing around it and thinking, wow, this was the hardest fight in the game when I was on the first run.
I think you can turn the tide with it, that once one of them drops, you're now 2 on 2. But the ruined sentinels turn up in Dranglake Castle, and they're still a bastard.
Oh God,
and
yeah.
They
slightly more manageable bastard, but still a bastard.
No, sir.
Oh no.
Things have changed within.
Of course they have.
Of course they have.
Fucking course they have.
The fight in Dranglake Castle, and it's still a beast, and there are certain things to add to that. So I guess once again, if you're looking at the design of the game as a whole, that there's a nice lead in to the fact that you've got this ruined sentinel battle, and then you've got the one in Dranglake Castle. So yeah, I kind of dig how that's been paced.
Awesome.
So
yeah. So just for people that are listening that missed the Bro Up run, because I know there are people out there that do. We are catching up. Yeah, as you've heard, we are getting there. We're probably going to be doing Blooders and Souls at the same time, aren't we? We're going to.
I'm quite happy.
I've been enjoying double duty. It's been fun.
Yeah, because we've got sort of on each game one of us that's knowledgeable about it and the other that's not, and we can kind of discover and bounce off.
Let me show you my soul. Let me show you my blood.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are bounced. We're nearly caught up now. I think we've only got to do another one more boss, I think, on Scholar, and then we can catch up to where we were.
Yeah, we've got
the woods. We were going to do Huntsman's Copse, weren't we? And that's where we got to.
Well, we've got to. Oh, we got to Huntsman's Copse on the original, yeah. But this one we've got the rest of
the Bastille to do first,
and Sinner's Rise that we'll probably do next time.
Sinner, chicken dinner,
and then. Yeah, we'll probably Huntsman's Copse is a good
and Bloodborne's probably going to happen at the same sort of pace. That's how we've been playing it. Couple of hours here, couple of hours there. It's good. Yeah, it's fun. Good bounces.
So yeah, elsewhere in the Souls universe, I'll mention a few forays I've had into Twitch, which have been really cool. My sleeping patterns can be a bit bonkers at the best of times. And often Twitch is a good place to bide a little time before I fall asleep again. I seem to have these pockets of 4 hours where I'll sleep, and then I'll wake up and I'll normally put a podcast on or something like that, and it will seem like I'm not actively trying to go to sleep, that I'm just entertained, and then I can fall asleep sort of quite well. But I wandered onto a Twitch channel called Pierre Creates. And he was playing Scholar of the First Sin. Really courteous chap. His first Souls game was Bloodborne. And this was his first sort of foray into Scholar of the First Sin. As with the best of Twitch, the chat was lovely. The great people in there. And I always think that's a real credit to the person that's running the Twitch, because if they're paying attention to the chat and the people that are sticking around are enjoying both the game and interacting with the person that's playing it, then that's a really cool ecosystem. And I think he was only initially planning to stream for sort of a couple of hours and ended up doing about somewhere between 6 and 8 because he was enjoying it so much, which was really cool. But really, really nice chap. So that's on Twitch. That's Pierre Creates, PIERRECREATES. So I think he's doing some other stuff like Witcher and Destiny and stuff. But the Scholar one was belting, so I really enjoyed that. And there's also somebody called I Love Jessica Biel. So
of course,
it's ILUV and then Jessica Biel. So there's loads of PvP, loads of pop tunes in the background, and the bloke's got a really infectious laugh. One player that he was fighting, who I dubbed Mummy's Special Soldier, disconnected sort of at the end of this battle, and then sent a message reading, and this is Jeremy Greer territory. This message read, "Why don't you go suck a dick?" And our host, who has a laugh like a devil Santa that's just started an apocalypse, was riotous within these belly laughs, like for a good 10 or so minutes afterwards, like a really hearty kind of go suck a dick, like
go suck.
It was fantastic, and when I thought about that for like the next number of days, it was still making me smile. But yeah, it's just cool to to hop into. I was watching some again last night. Some invasions in where was it? Near where the lion guys are, near the Shaded Woods.
Shady Woods.
Yeah, and they were fun. So, but yeah, it's a good spirited Twitch. Like I say, there's a very dark sense of humour there. Some belting pop tunes, and it's I'd recommend it.
Nice.
So, but that just gives me a little reminder as well. Speaking about Jeremy Greer, that he has a Tumblr called darksoulshaters.tumblr.com.
It's brilliant.
Yes, which relates to all of the atrocious messages that you can.
Because as nice as the community is, some parts of it are also not as nice.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes when you do PvP, you meet those people.
Just looking at one of them now, it says this message says, you shouldn't point down at someone when you had to gank and heal in order to win. Just makes you look like the cunt that you are. I've already blocked you, so you won't be able to respond. Good day, douchebags. Oh man,
it's one of those amazing what is wrong with people blogs, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
What is, you read the things, you think, why would you send that to a person?
This reminds me as like a little left of centre. But when I was doing the Burnt Iron King fight earlier, there were a few people that were cropping up as like constant summons. And one of them, I wasn't summoned into his world, but I wish I had, just so the game could have said to me, "You are summoned into the world of Lube Enthusiast."
Wow.
But the funny thing was that the first time I arrived in a game with Lube Enthusiast, we went into the battle and he was getting fucked. He was getting totally fucked. And I just saw, as I was dropping in, he must have already gotten into this battle. I just saw his bar go down and I had to kind of laugh.
Well, it's like my favourite video I've seen of an invasion, which was in Dark Souls 2. I can't remember who it was. But they invade the world of someone called Noob Pyromancer.
I've seen that one. That's brilliant.
Yeah, and this person is using all the pyromancies that hurt yourself, and it's just firing these off and just falling down every time. It's glorious. It's glorious, and the guy on the stream laughing like a drain at Noob Pyromancer, who just can't. Who's trying his best, bless him, but he's blowing himself up.
Here's another good one from Dark Souls haters. This reads, "Yeah, I see my gamer tag on YouTube. I'll show you, ha ha ha, cause you don't have my permission, dickhead."
What? I'll show you.
I'll show you. I think he's meaning I'll sue you.
Oh, okay.
I'll show you.
I'll show you.
Yeah.
That's creepy.
So yeah, it's really cool. So darksoulshaters.tumblr.com is lovely Jeremy's Souls Tumblr.
Lovely Jesse.
So yeah, moving on. One of our listeners, Death Note, has started up his own podcast, Dark Insight.
Yes.
Another person
surprisingly lovely. Well done. Yeah.
Another person who's new to Bloodborne, finding something very special therein, and which, like we did with Souls, discovered that there's a kind of glittering something that other games can't touch. He's now knee deep in Scholar of the First Sin and loving that to pieces. And the podcasts are really excellent listen.
It's really nice to see him getting, finding something that is special enough to want to, make that effort with and to actually, talk about it. It's the same thing we had. We play these games and we had to talk about it, and it's cool to see him following the same sort of path as we did. And he said some very nice things as well. I've been chatting to him on and off for the last week or two. Sort of pointing in different directions, and it's been really nice. He's got a wonderful radio voice as well.
Well, one of the things that I really liked on there, which I think is really poignant, I've not heard anybody mention it before, is that he was saying that Dark Souls reminds him a lot of Donnie Darko. In the fact that the initial version of Donnie Darko was quite obtuse and people were trying to read into it and pick up on little signs and put them together and build up this lore around the film, and that he loves Donnie Darko, and he's now sort of found that degree in the game as well. But it was interesting to hear that he wasn't really. I know he's put off by the reputation that Souls had gotten, and actually used to play games on easy as well. Before he absolutely came to Bloodborne, like NG Plus as well. So
Which I haven't actually managed yet, so good job.
But we won't spoil the listen, so
No.
so do check it out. We'll
You
we'll
can
crack
find
up
him,
another-
easiest way on Twitter is at Death Note, which is DE4TH_note, and the podcast is called Dark Insight, which you can find on SoundCloud, which is a really, really good name.
So when you messaged me about it on Sunday, I was already about halfway through the listen, and given that it's me that runs Twin Humanities Twitter 99% of the time, I don't think he knows I've listened. So yeah, very articulate gent, very passionate about the games, and yeah, it's a cool one to listen to. You found a few bits on YouTube.
Yeah, just a couple of YouTube stuff. Firstly, and probably most importantly, I've not actually watched it yet, but ENB has started a podcast. Epic Name Bro has started his own Soulsy podcast on his YouTube channel. Approximately half an hour long or so, because other people don't just talk until their mouths fall out, like we do.
Yeah.
I haven't actually listened to it yet, I must say. Have you?
I knew it was on the way. I saw the stuff tweeted a few days back about Patreon and that he was planning on doing a podcast, but I didn't know it was up yet.
But he seems to be doing it because it's something that he wants to do, and that's why we do it, and that's why most podcasters do it, because it's something you want to do. And like I say, haven't actually managed to get around to listening to it yet because life is busy fixing taps and all sorts of crap. I'm making myself sound far more important than I actually am, aren't I?
Yes, you are.
I do that. I self-aggrandise quite a lot. I'm sorry. But yeah, no, really, really cool to see him get into it. It's still kind of in the early phases, so he's going to mess around with the format and stuff and try some different things out. I think it's just him to start with. But yeah, EMB.
Yeah.
Go for it. So if you can't find Epic Name Bros YouTube channel,
everybody knows
you've
where
not been. You've not been listening. Yeah. Okay. Cross that off the sheet. As always, Varty's recent Things You Missed videos have been beautiful. Beautiful. That's where I picked up the little tip about the Blood-Starved Beast wanting to eat them blood cocktails. Once you've beaten a couple of areas, a few areas, it's worth going back and checking out those, particularly the Things You've Missed videos, because there's a lot there. And I don't think he spoils anything late game on them. There's some speculation and some theories wild out, but nothing too spoilery. So it's definitely worth looking at those. If you worry, what was that all about? And Varty's got this wonderful way of analysing, what's in front of you and really sort of having a proper look at things and sort of extrapolating info that most people wouldn't necessarily make the jump to. I mean, it was his lore videos, as well as EMBs that really got some of the community mobilised in the way it did, and he's doing just as good a job with his Bloodborne content. So thumbs up, Varty, well done you.
I'm going to do a slight left of centre of that, but on a similar sort of tip. That I've kind of avoided a lot of the usual suspects with regards to Bloodborne because I've not really gotten that far into it yet.
Well, let me. I've been avoiding Scholar of the First Sin videos for that same reason.
Yeah, but there aren't really that many Scholar of the First Sin videos. People seem to have ignored Scholar quite a lot, but lots of people have been doing the Bloodborne runs across the community. But I looked at the things you didn't know about Bloodborne vids that Dave Klein and Terramantis has done, and they're flat out fucking excellent. They're funny, they're detailed, they're eye-opening, very well edited. I fucking love those two lads to pieces. I think they're great. And the videos were fantastic. So I was only planning on watching one before I went to work, and ended up sort of watching both of them and then rushing around trying to make up an extra 15 minutes. But it was worth it. I do miss sort of watching Dave's vids, especially because I don't know, I got a huge amount of the lore stuff that I fell for from Dave, and I do wish Terramantis would do more of the sort of videos that he did. Do you remember that Havel one he did? Where it was almost from Havel's perspective and about his life and being turned on by his friend and love, and I really like those, and I wish Steve would do a few more of those. But yeah, those two videos were fucking ace. But and the other one that on the YouTube front, Pewdiepie is doing Bloodborne.
Yes, I haven't watched that yet.
I've seen the first 3, which lead up to as far as I've gotten. They're fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it was Sunlight Blade that kind of turned me on to the Dark Souls ones, because I didn't watch PewDiePie's channel.
I generally didn't either, and I found myself those Dark Souls ones. The first ones he did were really, really good.
Those Dark Souls videos were fantastic. I think people kind of. It's easy for people to poke a stick when something's popular anyway. But I think those videos are tremendously well edited, and I think that there's a real passion in there. But moreover, even beyond sort of the jumps and the giggles and the facial expressions and stuff, the bloke fucking got Dark Souls, and it got under his skin. And he was good at playing it, and I believe now it's his favourite game ever. Which is pretty cool.
To most people who play it.
Yeah, and his Bloodborne run again is fantastic. There's certain points where where it really gets under his skin, and he's really rushing at it. Obviously, there's moments of kind of screaming and sort of comedy and things like that.
Yeah.
I believe it might have been a Blood-Starved Beast one. He was throwing Molotov cocktails towards the end, trying to get it like dashing around this post and throwing Molotov cocktails. And he was like, "Have a Pokeball, have a Pokeball, have a Pokeball!" And like when the thing died, he was like, "Thank you, Charmander." But yeah, they're really, really good videos. And if you know of the legend of PewDiePie, or you don't think it's your sort of thing, check them out anyway, because those Dark Souls videos seriously fucking ace.
And if you can't find his YouTube channel, you don't have the internet.
No, but
I've got one more. What about you?
Okay,
I've got one more. One I've mentioned before, but I'm going to keep banging on about because I caught up to it over the last few days. Last night, while sorting out Lego, because I am a grown-up.
I thought you were the adult in this internet.
Laura's
speaking
my wife's
relationship.
parents. Yeah, my wife's parents. They came down and they bought all of her Lego down, and we've mixed the Lego now, which I've got to say is quite a commitment. You know, I don't know. I think she's smothering me. But we've mixed the Lego and we've organised it into colours, into drawers. We spent hours doing it last night. But I used that time to.
Is that what marriage is about?
Yeah, Lego.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it. It's fine. I'll take it. I've seen lots of pieces that look very Dark Soulsy while I was organising it.
Don't try and siege it then.
Oh my god, there's some good stuff in there. There's so many barrels. Anyway, off topic. I used this time to catch up, finally, with the Two Best Friends play run of Bloodborne. Their blind run they've done with Pat and Wooly. They are swapping the controller back and forwards on death. Unless an anvil falls on you. If you die, you pass off. And they're doing a complete blind run. They don't know where they're going. They're doing it all fresh, and as a result, it is chaotic. It is definitely not optimal. Some would say, but that is what makes it good to watch, and it's really fun watching. Like if you've played the game now, or even you've played the first bit of the game, if you want to sort of get the experience of playing it again that first time, watch their videos. They are funny. They're really good. Like they chat while they do it. They're really good talkers. They're good talkers. Wow, look at me be a bad talker there. They're really good conversationalists. They will chat about what's around them. They'll throw things back and forward. Pat's quite a Souls veteran. Wooly's only really played Dark Souls 2, which he did on the channel as well, which was very, very funny. But you can see them both sort of getting into it and working out what the items do and just trying to work out things. You can see them missing shortcuts or lamps, and there's a particular moment, I think around episode 10, when they hit the cathedral wall the first time and walk straight past the lamp and don't activate it. And on later episodes say, yeah, we got your messages, we know we missed the lamp. Sorry guys, there's a bit of tape delay on this. If you shout at us, we're not going to get it. We've already done that bit. But it's been really good, and I've caught right up to where they are now. They're on part 37.
So are they Twitch streaming then as well?
No,
live streaming on YouTube.
No, it's all just half an hour segments. They're playing it in about 5-hour chunks.
No, but I thought you were saying that they said that if people shout things at them, that there's a delay on it.
Yeah, tape delay of a few days because they're putting up on YouTube. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to get that message because we recorded this 4 days ago.
It might be a good laugh. The next time that we jump onto Bloodborne to maybe sort of
hit the Twitch button.
Twitch,
maybe,
and see what happens. So it might be quite a giggle.
Could be fun. But in the meantime, please. I mean, even if you're only a few bosses in, like someone who's on the other end of this podcast sofa, even the first few episodes are really, really fun. And there's a wonderful, wonderful moment where they discover, and if you've played the game, this won't spoil anything for you, CJ. Don't worry. When you discover the really, really, really good shortcut with the ladder, there's a moment on that. I think it's episode 32 or 33. It is wonderful. It is wonderful. They reference another game, and it's one of the most glorious crescendos of happiness I've ever heard. of two men chatting away, and then oh, and oh, and oh, and then ah! But better than that. But I won't spoil it. But it's glorious. But yeah, no, their channel can be found youtube.com/The Switcher, and there's a 1 instead of an I. But if you just search 2 best friends play Bloodborne, you'll find it, and it's the thing I watch now with dinner when Laura will let me.
Well, whilst we're on YouTube before we close off, because there will be people that have maybe found us because they're playing Bloodborne, I guess, and it might be their first foray into a Dark Souls podcast. You never know. Or
if it is, we're really sorry.
Yeah, we're sorry. We're not. This is who we are. But if you've another one to check out, which is a big favourite, is Sunlight Blade on YouTube. Does some great videos with PvP for Bloodborne and Dark Souls 2. They're consistently brilliant. So please check them out because he's a good lad, and I can tell he puts a lot of effort into him, and I always watch them. So yes, that's Sunlight Blade on YouTube.
And I know he's listening because he told me he listens when I took him to the zoo.
Yeah,
in Germany, but that's a whole other story.
What you do outside of your marriage is a different thing entirely. Right, so
Top 10 zoo animals.
I think that's a sour and sordid note to end it on. Thank you very much for listening. You probably know where we are on Twitter and all that kind of stuff, so I'm not going to go into it. But thank you for listening. Thank you for all the feedback with regards to the episode that we did with Bonfireside Chat, because it was fucking ace.
Yeah. We missed one.
Was amazing. What?
We missed something. I got to go on Sound of Play from Cane and Rinse. Haha. We forgot that, didn't we? Yes, Cane and Rinse, the as I call it, the smartest game podcast there is, run by some lovely people, invited me on their second show called Sound of Play, where they talk about video game music. CJ has already been on an episode, and episode 15 is when I got to go on, and I got to talk about weird things I like. It was great, and I did lots of research to make myself look smart, which is something I don't do for our own show.
Yeah, that's
honestly,
me.
I had like 7 pages of very finely written notes. If I sound smarter on that show, it's because I wrote notes.
It's because he finally fucking made an effort.
Yeah,
on somebody else's show.
It didn't take. I wasn't a fan. I did it. I was like, that was hours, wasn't it? I'd just turn up and
this
talk.
Podcast's over.
Yeah.
CaneandRinse.com. Anyway, cheer bye until next time. Might be the Humanities next time. We've got a Twin Destiny coming up as well, and we'll be bouncing into more of Souls and Bloodborne. So yeah, wherever the mood takes us really, but please drop us a line on Twin Humanities podcast at fucking hell, no, this'll save until next time.
Okay,
this will save until I think there is something that we've forgotten though.
What?
There is something that we've forgotten.
And
you can't wait until next time.
Okay, go.
No,
this is really good. This is a good strong ending, by the way. I like it.
No.
We'll wait.
No. Bye.
Bye.
Welcome back to Twin which is the episode that followed the number that the last episode was made of. The last episode, of course, was called Nigel, about your wonderful discovery of the man with the stick that doesn't attack. But we'll go into all of that. This episode also has a person's name. Are you there, Pat?
I am. I'm just confused.
I thought you were going to ask a question.
I was waiting for you to do it. I thought you were doing a dramatic pause.
No, dramatic pauses don't go on for that long.
That's why it was quite dramatic.
I know. Should we try that again?
Shall